3, 2, 1.
Let's go! Welcome back, Side Questers. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode. It was an amazing episode, and we really enjoyed having all of you guys be able to tune in. My name's Matt, also known as Grandpa Wook, and once again, I'm joined by our amazing co-hosts, Adam and Michael. And for a full feature, for the first time as a guest on the Side Quest podcast, we brought the wild Pokemon from the last episode, our buddy Zach. He's here in the studio, so please give him a warm welcome.
Let's go, Zach.
Alrighty, guys. I hope you guys are ready for this one. It's gonna be a banger. Let's roll.
Keep on rolling.
Welcome, everyone, to the second episode of the Side Quest podcast. We are so glad you can make it. Today, we are actually going to talk about what happens when the pre-workout stops working. So, I kind of just wanted to preface this episode with the idea of kind of like what a come down into a burnout feels like and what that feels like to all of us. I feel like every single one of us has kind of been in a space in our rave career, I guess is what you could call it, where we've kind of started to feel exhausted. And there comes a point on knowing when do we continue raving and when do we keep going hard and when is it healthy to take breaks in between the shows that we attend to give ourselves more energy to be hyped and excited for the next show. Because there's always going to be shows, there's always going to be more opportunities to have a good time with your friends. But part of being responsible, as Adam brought up in the last episode, the silent RF player is knowing when to take care of yourself. Therefore, you can continue doing what you love doing the most, which is for us, raving. So I'm actually not going to start talking about this right off the bat. I kind of just want to open up the floor for everybody to share a little bit of what they have to say. Because I think right now I've been hit the hardest with it. So my take on it is going to be pretty extensive and in detail. So I want to give everybody else a chance to kind of talk about it and how they've experienced it differently in their rave career. So whoever wants to take it away, go for it.
I think Zach. Since you're our special guest, you should definitely lead that charge there.
So let's start off with post-rave. You had lots of pre-workout through the festival, the show that you went to. Maybe you just partied a little too hard that weekend, make sure you take that time within the next week following that event to recover. Your body is important. Your mind is important. You need to make sure that you take care of both of those things so that you can continue to function as a person and be there for your friends. When you're feeling kind of down after a rave, you're going to have that spike of euphoria for that event, right? Like you had a great time, you had a blast, all your friends were there, it was super fun. It's the next day. You wake up in the morning and you feel kind of groggy or you feel a little down. Make sure that you nourish your body. I think most important. Make sure you eat something the next day.
Or at least force yourself.
Or at least try to get something into your body. Because
force yourself.
Part of that is definitely you probably didn't eat anything that weekend. We all know that ravers run on one chicken strip a festival.
And
or gummies, or yeah, exactly. So make sure you take care of your body first, and then after that, maybe do some exercise, do some meditation, do something else for your mind, and don't be afraid to see friends. I think it's really important that you don't isolate yourself immediately after a show. It can be really comfortable to just literally burrito yourself into your bed right after a show, the next day, and you just lay there all day. And, it's probably not the worst thing, but it's definitely better if you...
Or it is the worst thing.
Yeah. Or it could be. But definitely if you have the opportunity to hang out with friends the next day, even if it's just go get coffee, breakfast, just to have some kind of social interaction, I think that's really important for you to do following a rave.
Yeah, I think that's very true. I know after a couple of shows that I've been to, I've done the whole burrito thing where I'm just laying in my bed. But the thing that happens when the pre-workout runs out and you're on this come down, you're kind of just stuck in your own head. And so not having that human interaction to kind of keep you accountable to being in a better headspace, being happy, especially after certain pre-workouts, they all, interact with your body differently. you kind of just enter this negative headspace, and it's really hard to get out of when you're alone. And I mean, that's just in general in life. When you ever are in a negative headspace, the more you're alone in that negative headspace, the harder it is to get out of that headspace. So surrounding yourself with good people, good friends, like everyone that is present on this podcast today, you know, I'm just going to say, like, today, after work, I was in a really shitty headspace, but then now I'm here shooting the podcast, and I feel, you know, a lot better. My mood is elevated, and we've been laughing and doing a bunch of stupid shit off the podcast, but like, realistically, right, like, that just goes to show you that even when pre-workout runs out, your brain is the most powerful thing in your body. And so being able to hold your brain accountable to channeling that power in a positive way is like super awesome. So thank you so much for sharing that, because I think like that is so important. Surrounding yourself with friends is like the most important thing on the planet, in life, but also after a show. I don't know if you guys want to hop in,
Michael,
say something.
Michael, do you want to hop in on?
Okay, so to be honest, I might be the odd man out here, but I've only been raving for maybe a year and a half seriously. Like, I'm talking about like a rave every week or 2 weeks. And when I first, from that day, I'm talking about Halloween, boo, Seattle.
Last year?
Yeah. That's when I really started picking up. Like, I've been to a lot of raves before, but like not consecutively, not like the rave culture, not like a rave slave.
That's a good point.
But I've never really experienced a bad come down from anything, and not just, you know, the specific pre-workout. And I've just picked it up since. Maybe I'm a rave baby still. I don't know, to be honest, right?
I think Michael, I think it just hits people differently, you know, like when you're post show, again, kind of that environment that you put yourself into, but again, just like what your headspace is in general will kind of bleed in and over that next week or next couple of days after a show. So for a person like you, we know that you're like a golden retriever. You like have like infinite energy. You're like always happy and like always doing stuff.
Yeah.
So like, it doesn't seem that weird that you don't really experience that kind of come down, because your energy levels are already pretty high. So like it just keeps going. But like for some other people, it like going to a rave could like really drain them out, and then they have no more energy the next week to do.
I got a good support network. I got yeah.
That's so important.
Mm-hmm.
That support network, yeah, for
Would you
real.
go?
Oh, you can't man. I'm sorry. I just put a candy in my mouth.
We're all chewing right now.
It was like in front of me, and it kept like talking to me like, eat me, eat. And I was like, say this.
Just to preface, we have some snacks and candy in the studio today. Not rave candy, like actual candy.
Yeah.
Well, we do have rave candy too.
We
have rave candy, but we also
check out the video. You'll see.
Yeah. Check the video on YouTube. You guys will see what's in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
You'll definitely like what's in front of us. That's for sure. But yeah. I mean, like, yeah. That's actually, you know, Michael. That's actually interesting that you say that you haven't had like a bad come down from any pre-workout. You know, like. For me personally, I've had bad come downs pretty much on every type of pre-workout that I've, you know, have enhanced myself within the raving gym. And yeah, I mean, like, yeah.
We go gym. No reflex, right?
Everybody, take your shirts off.
No.
Wait. No. That's for the Patreon. That's for the Patreon, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Yeah, it's not. It's
only fans.
It's our only fans.
You might have lost it.
I think it just went to sleep.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
It did what it did last time. Can you check? Oh shit, my bad. Can you check the camera too? That would suck if we lost all the footage.
Still wrong.
Okay. Can you see me in there? Can you even see me in there?
We need to get it.
It's inside the. He's in the corner. Yeah, you're fine.
You can still see my
As a
face.
matter of fact, you're probably like the biggest headliner.
I'll say that.
Got Adam front and
Adam's
center.
the headliner.
Yeah, he's the biggest figure.
DJ Skinny Penis.
DJ Slim Lou.
Let's go. But yeah. Anyways, so picking off of what I was saying about like having like the come down from, you know, going to the rave gym. I probably have had like pretty harsh come downs from pretty much everything that I've taken at a rave. It might be the fact that I'm the dummy and like to combine multiple pre-workouts together. So I said C4 and Redcon Total War. Say less.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude,
You know,
that's
like-
Yeah.
That's just a bad combo. But
combo.
that's a. I'm surprised I'm even alive with you guys today.
Your heart
so-
didn't explode. Your heart didn't explode halfway through that one.
Yeah. So I'd probably say like what Michael was saying about like, you know, having like good support system. Luckily myself also had like a really solid support system when I started getting heavily into like the rave community and the like back into raving again. And of course, you know, your one and go to 5-HTP,
Yep.
Liquid
Yeah.
IV, Pedialyte, and all that
What
stuff.
is it?
And just-
Magnesium's good for you.
Magnesium.
Any kinds of vitamins you can take, good.
Yeah, it's just and proper rest. I would probably say the best medicine is proper rest.
And
Like,
food and sleep.
and
Yeah,
food.
yeah.
Yeah.
and sleep.
The three.
Okay, debate right now. Side questers.
yeah.
The best cure for a come down of any kind is fucking pho.
Amen.
Pho, bro.
Amen. Amen.
Pho, bro.
Miso.
There
soup
is
too.
something inside that
Any
broth.
kind of soup.
They must put like some more drugs in that broth because it brings you back up. I don't know. Like
Brings you
they
back.
said, here's your redose, bro. Like straight up.
Yeah.
And even with just hangovers too, bro. Fun.
Yeah. Hangovers,
sweet,
pho, dude. It's
Wow.
I feel it.
I just want to speak to that because like it was after Beyond or was it Base Canyon? Michael and like a couple of us, we all went to go get pho, and that shit was like
It smacks.
Yeah. Honestly,
Chef's
food's
kiss.
just the best vessel anyway. Like if you really don't have a reason to reach out to those friends that you need to hang out with, ask them to go get food.
Yep.
I'm sure every single person that you ask will tell you yes for the most part. Like
Right.
who doesn't want to go get food with their friends?
I mean, we talked about it in the last episode. We talked about like those breakfasts at the diners at the Gorge.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Like
so
or after the
good.
Gorge, like it just the freaking meals just hit so different when you
Yeah.
have that full plate of just scrambled eggs, hash browns, sausage,
so
bacon, pancakes, and you're just
Oh,
yeah.
and side questers, a side note. The person I was talking about in my last episode about Dylan not asking out the girl because he has no balls reached out to me and he says, "Watch, next year I'm gonna get her number." So you know what?
Well,
We just want to make sure that we recorded here at SideQuest Podcast that Dylan is gonna ask for that number. You already know. So, Dylan, you better get her number at Perkins next year at Beyond, baby. If not, we're coming for you.
you got 4 people in the side quester army that's gonna just fucking
Right.
And everybody
Alright,
that's listening, we're keeping you accountable now.
Something I really want to share though, real quick. Okay, if you don't do this, because I know everybody watching, they got a rave fam. They got their people, right? Okay,
Well,
and
there-
something that
three people makes a fam, and
Three people make a fam. Two people make a fam. Yeah,
Two people make a
One
fam.
brother in Christ, say less.
Hey, one person makes a fam.
You
So
mean-
it's a one-man army.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like something that like was introduced to me, right, from my rave fam, and I love them to death, more than death, beyond death. Okay,
Beyond immortal.
but after every festival, like the big festivals, you know, I'm talking about Beyond Wonderland, Base Canyon, like even Boo, right? When you're having everybody out there, and it's so special to me now because I've never done this before until I met them. I'm talking about you, Rage Cage, right? Is everybody after the festival going out together?
Yeah.
And getting lunch, getting dinner, getting breakfast, right? And it's just like, oh my God.
Family
Look,
time.
Jesus Christ Almighty, I tell you. it's just like, yeah, it's just like a very wholesome, like, experience to go out together, replenish your energy, eat some good food at the best spots you know, and it,
Plus you just, like-
chef kiss, man, yo.
And then go back to doing it all over again. It's day 2, baby.
No, but you get that time too to like just like talk and like meet these people. Because sometimes you rave with people and like you'll dance with them all night. But like, do you get to talk to them? It's not really the place for that,
Yeah.
That's
right?
facts.
It's like partying versus like really getting to know people.
Partying
Like,
versus connection.
Yeah, right? No?
No, I think that's pretty accurate.
I think
Yeah.
like what it comes back to too.
And that helps a lot. I'm
No,
sorry.
go for
Yeah.
it. Go for it. Go for
I'm
it.
just saying, like, that really, really, really helps with the whole calm down, right? Like, because, like, you know, after your pre-workout, I know a lot of people, I've never experienced it. But, but, you know, I think that, I kind of have, I don't know, it's just like, because, like, you're so like metaphorically high, right?
Yeah.
Like not
Yeah,
literally,
I mean,
but, like,
in general,
it's a mental
like
thing.
you're it's if you want to go like that way, like your serotonin spikes, like you're happy,
Right.
you're at a place that's stimulating you
with
Yeah.
a lot of love,
with
people.
a lot
like,
of
to
people
the-
and
to
the
the max,
music
yeah.
and the visuals and
Yeah.
the, like everything. It's just meant to make you feel good.
It feels
I mean, if there's a
real
place to overstimulate, it's a rave.
good.
I mean, literally
It is
every
the echelon,
single
bro.
every single sensory stimulant that you could have
Mm-hmm.
in an environment, sound, like your vision, touch, even,
Yeah,
and just smell, even taste, even.
yeah. Make sure you guys wear deodorant at the
Yeah,
raves, 'cause,
yeah. Where are you ordering? That's what you
I
I
don't
make
know,
sure
man.
to wipe my.
Nah, fuck that.
Shit.
I want to be.
You want to be known? They're like, oh wait, what?
We-
They
I wanna
double take
be-
for the wrong reason.
I want you guys to know that I'm coming from a mile away, bro. It's like, oh, Adam's here.
Yes.
I bit my lip. Yeah, so if you don't do this already, right? One of the best ways to combat the calm down is, and this is a tradition, I encourage everybody. If you got a rave fan, if you got a rave friend, if you're a rave solo, right? Go out, go eat, and enjoy that time with your people. Whether that be just yourself.
Yeah.
And most people, that are going out, they have people that they come with, right? Go out, have a wholesome meal, right? Afterwards, just it's nothing, right? But it means, honestly, like that's one of my best fucking like parts of the rave is going out afterwards and enjoying and like reflecting on the experience.
Yeah,
that
you're
we
like,
had.
oh, that set was so sick last night. Like,
And then you
everyone
get to,
went
like-
hard at sudden death.
And then, obviously people go on side quests all night long. So this would be a great time to catch up on everybody's side
Yeah,
quest.
you're like, hey
It's like,
Michael,
hey-
you were gone for like an hour. Where did you go, man?
And then Michael responds with, I don't even know, bro. But anyways, to kind of piggyback on Michael's point about most people going out have somebody to go out with. And I just want to continue to epitomize the idea of plur. So for all of you listeners out there, thank you again for listening to our podcast, and thank you again for joining us for episode 2. I know me, Michael, Matt, and Zach here are super grateful for you. And for anybody out there that does not have a rave fam, that just goes out to the rave by themselves, and you're looking for a little company, come find us. We will gladly accept you guys into our rave community. We'll gladly accept you guys into our rave fam, and this is what it's all about, inclusiveness. That's what plur is really all about, is inclusiveness. We're able to respect you, we're able to understand you, we're able to love you, we're able to give you peace of mind, right? Plur, right?
Yeah,
That's the other part of plur.
Exactly.
Peace, love, unity.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And to go off of that, right? Michael mentioned Rage Cage earlier. And this is the fam he's talking about. We all get food together. Zach's part of Rage Cage. Now Michael and I are also part of Rage Cage. Rage Cage, what is it? How many people?
At least 40.
At
borderline,
least 40,
60.
Jesus.
Borderline 60.
Yeah.
Some shows. It's we have 60 people in our fam. We have a massive WhatsApp and everything, and it's just insane that we just kind of all found each other in random in random situations. I know that most of the people that joined the rave fam were all friends of friends of friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately what it is the two heads, you could say, the rave dad, rave mom of Rage Cage. They just have this kind of attitude of just wanting to meet new people. And so that's exactly what happens. And that's exactly what we're talking about. It's meeting new people at a show, and you just kind of you bond with them, you trade contact information, and boom, there's your fam. So it's really not that hard to build a rave fam. And that's what I think Adam's encouraging, what we're encouraging is we're all four of us are hella down to earth people.
Right.
And we love people. I think we went really deep into detail on that in the premiere episode about how much we love people. That's why we're drawn to the rave scene in the first place.
Right.
If you are one of those people that this may be your first show, right? Because we all were there at one point.
Yeah.
Come through. We want you to meet us. We want to meet you. Trade candy with you. Whatever it can take. Because like we said in the last episode, this episode is meant to be for ravers and non-ravers alike. If you are interested in raving, this is your chance, and we're offering this space and opening it up for you to come and meet us and to have a time of joy and fun and experience with us. And furthermore, I want to kind of talk about the idea of just the idea that we can all come together despite our backgrounds, like Adam was mentioning, despite who we are, and just accept each other for who we are. So what I think too is like this idea of we can all have different diverse backgrounds and we can all just come together in the same space and have like an enjoyable experience together and then debrief with 20, 30 people at Tai Tung afterwards and talk about what the best set of the night was and who we met that night that isn't part of the rave fam and like all these cool different experiences and kind of what we're doing right now, just a debrief, you know?
Yeah.
And this chance to just get to share. But I think the real cool thing is, you know, myself, Adam, Michael, Zach, we're all different people. And we all have different backgrounds, different traumas, different experiences that have all shaped us into the personalities and characters that we are today. Like, for example, in the real world, you put someone like Michael next to me, I'd be like, get the fuck out of the room. Like, I wouldn't be able to stand him, but he's my homie, he's my friend, and I love him for who he is, despite, like, what happens, right? Despite the way he acts. You know, I'm kind of a loud and outspoken person, and I know that for a lot of people who are a lot quieter, they'd be like, Matt, shut the fuck up, you know? But the fact that we're all still sitting in the room today, and they're just listening to me ramble, it shows, like, we all have these different personalities that you can consider strengths that we bring to the table in the environment, and we love each other for it. Yeah, I don't know if anyone wants to interview.
I just like to think about it as like perspective. Like everyone has their own things that they've experienced in their lives, and it's cool to be able to share that with other people. That kind of exposure just lets you see the world differently. You know, like the more people that you meet, the more like experiences that you can learn about, or even if you like travel and go to raves and stuff, it really opens your eyes to different things that there are out there in the world, and like
absolutely,
just cool experiences that just can help shape who you are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, Matt and Zach really brought up really good points on, you know, the whole. I don't really have a point on this one. I feel like you guys really touched up a lot on it. I'm not gonna lie, you guys really touched on like the whole like inclusiveness and understanding that people might be a little bit different. What I will say is I have met so many amazing people at raves, and you know what? Scratch that. I have met every single person I have ever met at a rave continuously surprised me. And they surprise me not because that they're cool people or individuals. It surprises me that regardless of their background and regardless of where they're coming from, they've made a decision to come here together to be in this environment with you.
Yes.
Because they also see the same thing that you see. It might be a different picture, but they're looking at the same art gallery. You're in the same art gallery together.
I like that.
You know what I mean? Like, you might be over there looking at Picasso, but they might be over there looking at Monet. But at the same time, they're appreciating the art. So basically, like, in layman's term, you're at sudden death, but the person you just met in the fucking bathroom line went to go see fucking Lil Texas, or went to go see fucking Zoo, or whoever, like Tiesto, Diplo, or maybe even upcoming artists, like, you know, like, obviously, I know Knock 2 is a very brand new artist, has become established now and all that stuff, but Knock 2, we love you. We love you, baby. We're gonna go see your best friend ISOXO soon. But, like, I feel like the music just in general connects, and I want to touch on this subject only because music connects all of us. It's a universal language, right? It's just like sign language. We can all understand sign language and we all learn. Everybody learned music. Everyone hears music. Everyone can feel and appreciate music. And I feel like when we're all under that sky together, there's a little bit of a connection between every single person you're passing through when you're going through the lines, when you're going to the bathrooms, when you're going to get some food because you probably have not eaten in 2 days, when you're going to back to the hotel and you run into some people you saw at the rave at the same hotel you ran into. Like, you know, like, and so I think, honestly, the other thing that I respect the most is that you guys have, you guys meaning like the raving community, you guys have this awesome sense of respect. Like, the R is it is a loud R, respect, because even if you're introverted, even if you are somebody that doesn't want to be around people, even if you're somebody that doesn't really want interaction, we can sense that from you and we respect your space.
Yeah.
Even when you're at a rave with all this loud music and all this stuff going on around you. That's what I really appreciate about the raving community is because we do accept people from every single background.
I want to say something about that too, because that's, first of all, what the fuck is Adam on just spitting poetry? Every episode. He's doing it for the Instagram and the TikTok clips, bro, I swear. No, but it's just like, he's so right? Like, we come into these spaces, we leave everything behind. All the shit from the real world, all the real experiences that we have in the real world from work and from school, if you're a student, from all these different things, right? We are able to somehow leave that all behind and come and enjoy the same show, no matter what set you go to. If there's 4 different stages, the same show, the same experience, the same vibe together, and we all come away from that experience with just, we feel like rejuvenated, we feel healed. And I know we're talking about like a come down, and we're talking about like the negative space, but part of like what Michael shared and what Zach shared and even what Adam has shared, the idea of coming back together afterwards in the midst of your come down and reliving that healing experience together is how you ultimately heal yourself from the come down, like for the remainder of like the time that it lasts. And I want to kind of just jump into this part because I want to talk about the importance of people in our lives, and I want to talk about the importance of people in the rave scene. But I want to kind of transition into an idea of, we're talking about also, like Zach mentioned earlier, taking a healthy break. Taking time for yourself to rejuvenate and recuperate yourself. But like, how do you work that in to the same space when you're also trying to utilize the people that care about you to also rejuvenate yourself? So I guess I already kind of had a point on this, so I can kind of jump in and quickly share, and then I'll open the table because I don't want to dominate the time. But essentially, my idea is it's okay to have that space for yourself. It's okay to take time for yourself. I think we always sometimes need breaks. Social burnout, despite raves, is a real thing. I mean, Adam and Michael can attest. There was a party that Adam threw at his place, and I had like a complete mental breakdown. And I was like, I love this, I love you guys, but I just need to get the fuck out. I need to take some time for myself. I'm like so socially burnt out that I just cannot be here right now. And so that's what I did. I just left. And I went home, I slept it off, and literally, well, then I got COVID, so then I was forced to sleep it off. And then I went to LS Dream with the same exact people the next weekend after I had recovered from COVID, and it felt rejuvenated, and I loved seeing their faces again. Because social burnout doesn't necessarily mean you hate the people that you're burnt out hanging out with. It just means that you yourself have just hung out with people for so long that you need time
for you.
Yeah,
exactly.
You just like don't have energy left to give. Like,
exactly.
That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, I think for me, social burnout comes when it's like, I'm a very social person. I love talking to these people. I love going out and meeting new people. But there's a limit. There's only so much that you can do, to the point where it's like, if I go to this next hangout, I'm not going to be able to contribute in the way that I want to contribute. Right? Like, you're going to sit there and you're just going to stare at people because you have no energy left to be able to talk to them and make, like not coherent conversation, but just like
meaningful
relationships with other people. So you have to be kind of aware of that and know that like there's always going to be more time to hang out with your friends. So like if you need to take a break, take a break.
Absolutely. You seem like you had something to say. Do you want to chime in?
Dude. Honestly, I know people like even I could just be with people forever. Yeah.
Mike's like Energizer Bunny. He keep going, bro. Just keep going.
I mean, like, not that I don't value my time by myself, right?
Yeah.
I think like a big part of loving yourself, right? And like is to recuperate and recover, but a big part of loving, I think, I don't know, man. Like myself is loving others, like right, and this is the big way.
Michael's special here. He just like an Energizer Bunny. He can go out and talk and do everything all the time. Again, golden retriever.
Yeah,
but. I do need my own time. I do need my own time.
Golden retrievers don't have limitless energy. It just seems like they do.
Yeah, man.
I think this goes back to the idea of a healthy break, right? Because part of a healthy break, and your friends who care about you, right, will understand. Like Michael, like Adam in that situation understood when I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. I love you guys, but I can't be here right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of being healthy. Because what it does is, why are you going to stay at a party? Why are you going to stay at a rave? Why are you going to stay at a show?
Or any situation.
Any
really.
social
Any
situation,
yeah,
exactly.
any situation.
I mean, I'm talking about rave specifically because, you know, that's what we're talking about. But, like, any situation socially, right? If your headspace is not in the right place, you're not going to be able, like Zach was saying, to contribute that kind of energy. And you're kind of like the Debbie Downer of the group. And so it's almost like...
And you're not doing yourself a justice.
You're not doing yourself a justice.
Or anybody else.
Or anybody else, exactly. You are bringing the vibe of everybody else down. And in turn, also not having fun. It's a lose-lose. And in turn, in that kind of regard, like, you could lose relationships doing that. Because if you force yourself to stay stuck, go for it.
Actually, I'm going to go ahead and interject on that point.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and say that you're not the Debbie Downer that's going to lose relationships just because you're out of social battery. Only because the people you are hanging around with should understand that you are at your wit's end.
Yeah.
Good point.
They should see that and they should
Good point.
remedy that
Yeah.
because they are people that understand you.
Good point.
Like, I've had people come up to me when I was also, my social battery was completely negative. Like, I'm negative 15% battery.
Yeah.
Like, you know, my friend Quo or my friend Dylan or my friend Paul, they'll come up to me and be like, hey, you're not yourself. Let's talk for a second. Are you sure you want us here? Like, throwing this party right now. Are you sure you want to be here?
Yeah.
They should be able to recognize and not put a label on you like as a Debbie Downer or anything. They should just see that you're just burnt out.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, you know what, dude? I think this might not be the best time for you to be right here. You should go home. You should take some rest. You should go sleep. You should eat some good food. Like, you should eat, you know, and that's another thing. I'm really big into fitness. Like, I love the gym.
I mean, look at him, bro.
I love the gym, and you know, it's turned into like a bodybuilding thing now, which is fine. Like, you know, you guys don't have to believe in my path, but what I will say is that at least I
believe.
the holy mecca of muscle. Make sure you pray every 6 p.m. Okay. But you know, I believe that living a healthy lifestyle really can really propel your raving life exponentially. If you are active, if you are fit, if you are eating correctly, you can do all the pre-workout you want respectfully, right?
Respectfully.
Let me go ahead and put an asterisk right there.
Yeah.
Respectfully.
Yeah.
Don't do every pre-workout there is on the market. But what I'm saying is the come down will be a lot easier for you, from my experience, if you were working out, doing your cardio, and I'm going to say this because I'm a Libra, having great sex, it really does help. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I forgot I'm in a room of virgins. Oh my god. Michael's like, yeah. But like, you know, having a holistically good, healthy lifestyle will benefit you so much on your come down and all of your mentality in terms of like coming home from the rave, because you're not getting away from the thrill of the rave. Like, you're going to go back to building a foundation to enjoy it even more. So like, I personally think like people that are needing like the break after the come down, completely understandable. But you need to recognize that. You need to be self-aware that this is what you need. Do not force yourself to go out because your friends want to go out. Do not force yourself to hang out with people that, you know,
and if it's not the right time. Like,
if it's not the right time. Everything has a time and place. The next 3 days after you get back from Base Canyon or Base Academy, well, I don't know if it's even known, Thunderdome, Cyclops Dome, the next 3 to 4 days after that is the most crucial point in your recovery. You need to eat right, you need to sleep correctly, and you need to make sure that you're on top of every other responsibility, because imagine you getting work done for the next 3 days, imagine you're eating right for the next 3 days, and imagine you're going to the gym for the next 3 days. Day 4, you will be completely rejuvenated and your social battery will recharge completely, and you won't have to deal with that situation where a week later you have to go to a house party or a friend's birthday party after the rave and you feel like, oh, I shouldn't be here because... So like it comes down to your responsibility. your responsibility to take care of yourself.
Self-agency.
Yeah.
Dude, with the healthy breaks, all right, this is my contribution. You know, okay?
Yeah.
Nobody else is gonna know for you because
Yeah,
nobody else is fucking
absolutely.
you, all right?
Yeah.
Nobody else is in your mind, in your body.
Yeah. And you'll understand, right? You should, and if you don't, fucking learn, okay?
Say less.
Exactly, yeah. Take some time, figure it out.
Write that down.
So valid. So true.
No, seriously, and that is extremely important, not just with raving, right, for your healthy breaks, but your healthy breaks in everything. Like,
Yes.
there's a balance.
Absolutely.
There's a balance to fucking
Yeah.
everything. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's so broad and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
But like seriously, like what I did, I wrote down in a journal, tracking down, like not just my healthy habits, but my unhealthy habits, right? And like learning the balance between what I need, unhealthy. I'll quote that, okay?
Yeah.
Because like unhealthy, so like, man, it's like figuring out that balance is more important, I feel like, to a healthier life in terms of like socially, right? And like economically. Right?
Yeah, you can only really give as much as you know how to give, and the only way to know that is if you know yourself.
Absolutely. It's like that. No, that's so well said, because I want to speak to that. That's how I knew, right? I went to this party with Adam, Michael, and like all of our friends that were at Adam's place, and I first came and I had energy. I was like, yes, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be a great time. Like, you guys know exactly what party I'm talking about, and I was like, oh man, this is gonna be like a great time. And then like, out of nowhere, right, something just hit me, like this wall, right, that, you know, normally I can bust through because I love people and I love socializing, but this introversion wall just kind of like smacked me in the face, and I got super tired, I got super irritated, and I had like RBF, like I had a resting bitch face, like I was like, I'm so done, I'm so over this shit, like I want out. And I remember the way I handled it wasn't the best, but at that moment is when Michael's like talking about learning, right? Michael's like saying you have to learn for yourself what those moments are in your life. And that is exactly that moment that I learned that, where it's like, I am done. My social battery is drained. I'm tired. I can't do this, and I need to take some time for myself. Lucky for me, COVID decided to, you know...
Make that decision for you.
COVID decided to make that decision for me, so then I was forced to take a week-long break. But... you know, at the end of the day, that's what helped, because now we're all sitting in the same room. I didn't lose these friendships, right? And I became, you know, I reached out to Michael and Adam like maybe 2 or 3 weeks later. I was like, yo, you guys want to shoot a podcast together? Yeah, so I just kind of felt like I was in this bad headspace, and like I was saying earlier, I don't think I left the party on the best terms, but then again, to Adam's point, what he was saying, right, I have these friends that understand me, that know that like, hey, he's not mad, he's not, you know, I may have been acting irritated, I may have seemed pissed off, but it's just, I was drained. My social battery was just gone. And I just needed to get out. I just needed to leave, because I knew that if I had stayed any longer, right, then maybe that title of Debbie Downer would have come my way. Then maybe that title of like, why the fuck are you still here? Because you're bringing the vibes down, you know, would have come my way. And it was in that moment that I learned. It was in that moment that I learned that like, hey, you know, I think this is what taking a healthy break from my socialization looks like. Because before that, I think I was hanging out with all of them like every weekend. Like, it was nonstop. Beach days, parties at Adam's place.
Every weekend.
Like,
This summer was every weekend.
This summer was like every weekend. You know, I think when we talk about healthy breaks, right? And then this is our healthy, we're about to take a healthy break from this podcast. I don't know if a shot's a healthy thing, but talking about like the healthy breaks and ending it with the healthy breaks for the first half of the episode, like I really think, you know, learning what Michael was saying, learning that about yourself, learning when your social battery is gone, right? And being self-aware, because in the rave scene, if we're going to dial it back and talk about the rave, specifically the rave community, I know Adam briefly mentioned during a break that we took that he had an experience at a rave where he got like socially drained, and he was, you know, he had to go chill in the back for like 40 minutes before he felt, you know, rejuvenated to finally, you know, get back into the show. And I mean, I know I've had that experience. I had that experience actually during Boo, and we'll talk about this in the next half about raving sober. But I rave sober now, and so at Boo, when you're sober, you know, and you're not on pre-workout, like you get tired a lot faster because you're just you.
You're moving, dude.
You're moving, and you're moving.
You're
I mean,
moving.
the amount of movement you're doing at a rave is like equivalent to like a week's worth at the gym, I would argue. You know, and so it's just like it's exhausting. And when you're not, you know, when you're not on pre-workout, you don't have that, you know, that drive to keep going. You get tired really easily. And I remember I just had to go to the back for Zed's set, which by the way at Boo was immaculate. And from the back, honestly, was better than probably like in the middle of it. So that was really cool. But I had that moment where I was like, dude, I'm gassed. I need to sit down. I just need to like rest my legs. I'm so tired. Like I cannot keep going. I'm sorry. Like I'm just, oh my God. Like and then, you know, I went to home that night and I slept like a baby. Like, I was so tired. So having those experiences in life, in a rave, you really kind of just have to be that self-aware, right? Because if I had forced myself to keep going, I would have been floored in the middle of the pit. And then people would have thought, like, I took too much pre-workout. And I'm like, no, bro, I'm just tired. Like, you know? And the shame sometimes that you feel from people like, are you good, man? Like, you shouldn't really feel shame because they're just looking out for you. But you still kind of have that internal sense of shame. So I knew at that moment, I looked at my friends that I was in the pit with and I was like, I gotta go. I'm gonna go to the back. I'm gonna just go vibe for a bit. I love you guys, but like, I gotta go on my side quest and just chill for a bit. And that's exactly what I did. And that's what I think, even in the middle of a rave, you can take a healthy break, right? Raves go from like, I mean, Boo was like what?
6 hours.
Yeah, it was like from 6 a.m. to, or 6 p.m. to midnight, right? And then, you know, you have 6 hours of sets that you can watch. What's it to you to just, we're not asking you to miss the set, right? But to just go to the back and watch the set from the back, get yourself together, go back when you have a better headspace physically and, you know, mentally, and then you have a better physical, you know, ability, and then just go have fun. I saw Zach too during, was it Hull's set? Like he started having like some shoulder cramps.
Oh, I took a break, dude.
Yeah, and so he took a break because he's like, bro, my shoulder is like, he's like, bro, I can't. And like he was just getting massages and we moved our group to the back and we were just vibing in the back. Like, it's so important to know that about yourself. Just because you're there and you feel like you have to keep the energy up doesn't mean that you have to force yourself to keep going. Because you're just going to wear yourself out that much more.
Yeah, no. Actually, so, dude, like, literally almost like on par with exactly what you were talking about. So, Ellis Dream, you guys were all with me. Right? Y'all saw me got, like, dummy floored.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, right?
He was floored. Yeah.
I was like, yeah. And, like, the thing is, though, like, I actually was, like, it just in my own headspace, I was like, oh, you know what, dude? Dude, I am so tired. There are no seats, right? But I was surrounded, right? Like, at least, like, I had, like, a barrier of at least, like, 10 to 5 people between me and anybody else where I felt comfortable, like, laying on the floor and just being like, hey, guys, I'm gonna go floor.
Yeah.
And, like...
And everybody kind of just, like, gave him space.
Yeah, and, like...
fanned him. We gave him water if he needed it.
Yeah, I felt so comfortable. And I was, like... I was, like... It wasn't like I was like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's, like, a bad floor where it's, like, all mental. It was, like, a very physical floor.
Yeah, where your body was just like, no.
Yeah. And that was, like, something I probably shouldn't have pushed myself to. But, like...
You get there. Sometimes you get there, though.
Sometimes
you're
you
just like,
yeah,
like, sometimes you're just like, it happens and you're there.
I was, like...
It's too much.
Yeah. I was, like, raving back to back to back.
Yeah.
You know? Like, so, like, that was the problem. But, like, even then, like... It's like it's almost like the juxtaposition, the antithesis, right? Of your like previous form, where like I felt good, I felt comfortable, because I was around you, and you, and you, and you guys, all three of you individually, all three of you guys took care of me, and like I was sitting right next to Mingo, right? Yeah, right. But it was like. And so, like, physically, you know, I was just, like, I needed to, like, just, like, you know, sit down and take a break. And it was, like, not a venue where you usually sit down. It was like...
Not in that.
This was at Ellis Dream, okay?
Yeah.
It was at...
No seats, no nothing. Like, it was just full.
But it was, like, I needed just, like, that 20... I don't even know how long. Like,
it was probably 20 minutes.
20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
But I just, like, recover, and then immediately just...
Yeah, the goal for these shows, right, is to like maximize your enjoyment, right? And if that means taking a break for 20 minutes, that means taking a break for 20 minutes. It means the rest of your time there is going to be that much better.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Similarly, yeah. Like I had an experience like that at Base Canyon. Zach knows this full well. I took I took way too much pre-workout, and I just about died. I was in heaven. I was in another dimension, and I remember myself and then the rave mom of our group just sat. Like I just was like, nope. I just sat. I was like, the floor is.
You gotta realize when it's time to take a break and really just sit back and like it might be your favorite set, it might be your favorite artist, but if you know that, taking that 10-minute break, 20-minute break, if it has to be an hour, so be it.
Yeah.
You know that it'll maximize the rest of your enjoyment throughout the rest of the day. Do it because you'll definitely regret it later if you don't, or in general, just like you'll enjoy it more if you do.
And to Michael's point, if you're comfortable with the people you're around, it's still an enjoyment of that set. You may not be able to see the visuals, but you can still hear. You have ears. Like that's we go to raves for the music, not the visuals, not anything else, not the lasers. And honestly, if you're laying flat on your back in a venue like you're just like, holy fuck, this is sick. Like,
the other 50% just being around the people you love with that music going on. That's a vibe, man.
That's like the what I'm saying. Like to Michael's point, right? It's like when you are comfortable with everyone around you and you feel like you can be floored, the experience is just as enjoyable as if you had the energy to keep going.
Right.
It is.
I feel like also there's this kind of like, I wouldn't say toxicity in the raving community where they really encourage you to go as hard as possible. Like and they like tell you like, oh yeah, let's fucking go hard. Like I have literally seen a girl throw up in front of me and then like get back up and everybody's like, yeah. But really what we should have been doing was, hey, we just saw you do that. Let's go ahead and bring you out of the pit and let's get you some real fresh air instead of being around everybody's stank. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Get her to a better place first.
And then be like, hey, good job for like coming out of that, but also why don't you rest up for a little bit? And then like you did such an awesome job in there. Like you're a true raver. Good fucking job. Yeah. Why don't you sit here, look at the gorge for like 15, 20 minutes, see how you feel, and then when you're ready, we will guide you back to your group over there.
That's what Zach did for me when I took too much pre-workout at Base Canyon. That's what a lot of the people in our fam, they were like, they knew I was hill locked. Like I could not move, bro. I was
hill locked for an hour at Base Canyon too. Yeah, I literally
that was hill locked for like a few hours.
I was hill locked for like 4 sets. I was like, bro, the sun looks great. I'm like, I can't move.
Oh yeah.
So, but like they looked at me, right? They would look at me. And they'd be like, they'd grab my head and they'd be like, Matt, we're going to go in the pit. We'll be right back. Yeah. And they did. They came right back, maybe after 2 sets, 3 sets, but they came back. It's not like they abandoned me. And at that point, I was like, okay, I know they're coming back. No matter how on pre-workout I was, I know they're coming back.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm just going to chill here.
Just chill.
I'm going to chill here. I'm going to try to enjoy this experience.
The hill's a great spot. Low key, like there's some sets at the gorge, especially.
Yeah.
I kind of wish I was on the hill for some of those because the hill has some.
I was on the hill for
Extronics?
Yes, for
Subcision, Extronics?
Yes, I was on the hill for Subcision, and only for like the first like 15-20 minutes of that set because the visuals were insane.
Oh yeah.
But I love the raving community. The funniest thing was so me and Dylan, I I was getting to that point where I was like, dude, I really need to fucking like calm the fuck down, and like Dylan had our totem. So he basically just gave it to somebody else. He was like, all right, guys, I'm going to be right back without him. So Dylan basically guided me out of the pit, took me up to the hill, and the first thing I did as soon as I got up to the hill was I basically ran up that hill, and I just basically did a spin and plopped down straight up.
And just stared up at
and the funniest thing was somebody was recording the set right in front of where I plopped down, and the girl that was recording the set came up to me, and she's like, hey, you're in my Instagram story, look. And I saw me coming up the hill, and I literally did the spin and plopped down, and I heard the little laughter, and I was like, I was like, that was so funny. I should have gotten that video. But I mean, like, I saw it on her Instagram thing, and I was like, that's so funny.
That's pretty
I bet you her friends were all laughing about that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this guy needs to
They're like,
calm
there's
down.
this random guy.
This is a random guy, and I was recording Subcision.
Yeah,
also.
and then one of their friends probably was like, wait, I know that guy.
Yeah, it's like, wait, the white hair, hold up.
But I think I love that. You know, I love all these stories because it, again, ending on this idea of a healthy break, it is just important to know when you need one. I think that self-awareness is the most important thing in life. In life, being self-aware, knowing your personality, knowing who you are is so incredibly important because, as I said earlier, you can lose relationships if you're not self-aware.
Right.
If you don't know for yourself how you act around people and how you treat people, people aren't going to want to be around that. There's a confidence that comes with being self-aware. Knowing who you are, your identity, and your space, and I think that's why we all joined raving in the first place because we love it so much. It allows us to live out our identity so freely, no judgment, without any, shame or anything, right? If I need to go to the hill, I'd be like, hey, Zach, I got to go to the hill.
Yeah.
Zach be like, I'll take you to the
man.
hill.
Yeah, I got you.
I'll take you to the hill, right? I can look at Michael, Michael can look at me, be like, bro, I need to just sit down. Look at all of us at LS Stream. I need to sit down.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
First thing we do, fans come out.
Fans come out.
Here we go, buddy.
Water bottles every direction.
Here we go. Nicotine. Here we go. We got
All of a sudden, somebody's massaging his head, massaging his back, and like all of it. And Michael's like, oh, yeah. Michael's like, why didn't I do this earlier?
Michael's like, I'm just gonna fake every time. I just need a break, bro. He doesn't need a break. He just wants the massages. But like realistically, that's the plur. That's what plur looks like in taking healthy breaks. Not only you being self-aware, but your friends being aware.
Right.
And your friends knowing who you are, your personality, because you've shown that to them in a non-judgmental way. And they just know. They just know.
Yeah.
And they love you regardless, despite, you could be pissed off.
Everyone has bad days.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yep.
You could have a really bad day. And I was having a bad day today, and I come here, and they're like, bro, this podcast's going to be lit. And I'm like, let's fucking go, And I'm in a good mood now. So it's like, you can have those situations in your life, not just raving. So that's what I love about raving, is it's so applicable to real life. Anyways, I'm going to end this here because I think, unless you had something to share.
No, I was just snapping for you.
Yeah.
Right on.
I'm going to end this here. I think we need to take a break, and then we'll be back with our shot break. We've got Ciroc on the menu today with some Beatbox
Chasers.
Shout out Beatbox. I know
Sponsor us. Actually, yo, P. Diddy, listen.
Yo, this podcast was sponsored by Immortal Events.
As you can see, if you want your setup to be as aesthetic and as pleasing as this, shout out to
Absolutely.
Immortal Events. Reach out to Michael or Adam or Cameron, and we'll be able to set you guys up correctly for the next party you host.
Absolutely. We love you, Cameron, by the way.
Love you, Cameron.
Yeah, Cameron! Oh!
Shout out to Cameron, our
Shout
boy.
out to Cameron! Shout out to Cameron!
Alrighty, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back, and we're going to take a shot. We love you guys, and stay tuned for the second half of the episode. Woo! Woo! Welcome back, Side Questers. We are here for our traditional shot break, so if you're not driving, feel free to grab a shot glass with us, and if you're not about to drive, I'm going to say that too. Feel free to grab a shot glass with us and take a shot of whatever you got laying around in the kitchen, unless you're also not 21. There's so many disclaimers. Anyways.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Let's say this fucking shit. Thank you so much for coming back for the second half of the episode. It means a lot to us, and if you took a shot with us, thank you, so you can understand the level that we're on right now. Especially Mr.
No, they can.
I don't know.
Alrighty, but it's so funny because we're talking about being drunk, and the next portion that we're gonna dive into is what it's like raving sober. Yeah.
Sober.
Because I love raving sober, and it's funny because I'm not sober right now, but we're gonna keep going. So, I just wanted to talk a little bit about how raving sober really changed my perspective. We talked a lot about pre-workout and like the effects that it has on us, the come down, the need for people, and just how to take a healthy break after an experience where you may have taken pre-workout in your life at a rave or just in general. I don't know where you guys are doing in life, but when I started raving sober, I really kind of just had an epiphany almost. It was after that time that I took too much pre-workout at Base Canyon that I kind of had this moment where I was like, this is not fun. Like, I just want to keep doing this, like, and to have a bad experience like that from taking too much pre-workout, it's like, I didn't have fun that day, and I missed, like, the enjoyment of Grizz's set, which is the set I was looking forward to the most, all of Base Canyon, because it was a gas set, and I had to relive it through videos that I took. Because I made sure I took videos, because I said, I'm not going to remember this. It was so sad. And so, you know, and that was the set I was most excited for. So it was after that moment, I was like, bro, I want to remember. I want to remember these experiences that I had. I want to remember these raves that I go to and the people that I'm surrounded by. And I'm not saying that you can't remember if you use pre-workout, because I've taken pre-workout so many times beforehand and had just as good of a time, remembered things. Like, for the most part, I'm in control of myself, so I know what's going on. But something about raving sober, despite the exhaustion that you feel at the end of the night, felt so different to me. In a good way. I felt so much more in control. And I realized that the energy that I have during shows isn't from the pre-workout. That's just who I am. And when I really embraced that identity, I just realized, like, bro, I can match the energy in the room. People will think I'm on pre-workout. And then the shock on their face when I'm like, bro, I'm just having a fucking kick-ass goddamn time.
Yep.
I am dead sober, no alcohol, no weed, no other pre-workout. I'm just having the time of my life because I love being here. I love the music. I love my friends. I love everybody that I'm surrounded with. And this culture and environment I love so much. Why the fuck would I want to ruin it with the risk of having a bad experience on pre-workout?
Yeah.
And the look on people's faces, I shit you not, this happened at Boo. So many people were like, what did you take? What pre-workout? Was it C4? Was it Redcon? Was it fucking Gorilla Mode? What'd you take? And I'm like, homie, I didn't take jack shit.
Nah, you tell him I'm high on life.
I'm all natty, baby.
Yeah, I'm all natty, high on
all
life.
natty.
High on life. That's
Life.
all I need. And, you know, the look on their face almost was like, holy shit, you can do that? They were like, what? I didn't realize, like, because we talked about in the last episode, like, people originally sometimes get into raving because it's that safe space to try new things, to try pre-workout. They go with that intention. And when you've been doing it for so long, you reach this point where you realize you're like, no, you don't. You don't need that shit.
No.
I love this environment. I love this culture. I love these people so much that, like, bro, I'm there.
Yeah.
And I'm just me.
Yep.
And I can be unapologetically, I don't care how fucking annoying I may be. I'm being me. And people love that shit. The people that are on pre-workout love that shit.
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to throw out a challenge to all you side questers right now. If we can get 300 views from start to finish of this second episode, 300 streams on Spotify and all the other platforms that we are on, not total, just 300 on one of them at least,
Okay.
then all of us here on the Side Quest podcast will go to a rave together sober. And we will see you guys there.
Yeah.
And we will see you guys there.
Yeah.
And expect us at the rave because we're going to ask you some questions.
Yeah.
We're going to be there putting you on our show. And I hope you guys come say hi. I hope you guys come and let us know what pre-workout, that you guys love.
doing, yeah.
Not that you're on because that'd be incriminating. The pre-workouts that you love in particular, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like if we can get to 300 complete streams from start to finish of this episode 2 of the Side Quest podcast, then all of us here will take the pledge to go to the next rave together and see you guys there sober.
Mm-hmm. Also, expect us to be going just as hard, if not harder.
And expect us to go to the gym ready to have every single plate in the motherfucking gym. All right?
Because what we want you guys to realize from this bit is that pre-workout is fun. We've all done it. We've all had great experiences with it. We've had some, maybe, me personally, I've had bad experiences with it. But raving sober, there's just something about it that you don't realize until you do it. But the first time that I did it, I was like, I don't know about this, man. Like, I don't know if I can keep the vibes up. I don't know if I'm going to have the energy to keep going. And I'm like, why replace energy with pre-workout when I can just drink some water? Why replace the energy with pre-workout when I can just sleep well the night before and have the energy to go just as hard as everybody else? It's like if you're an athlete, right? You're an athlete, right? Some athletes juice. it's against the rules, but they do. They take steroids to go, to max out their skills. But what happens when you have that one athlete that can hit dingers on the baseball field just as much as the person that juices without juicing at all? Mm-hmm. It's impressive, and you don't realize you can do it until you do it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that's so cool. And those athletes that do hit those same amount of home runs as someone that juices, they'll tell you, I just sleep well, I eat well, I work out well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going back to Adam's point about just, again, taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I think sober raving is kind of like the baseline, right? Like you can go to shows, and what you're there really for is the music, right? Like you're there to enjoy the music and the artist and the performance that they put on. All the pre-workout that we take like helps to enhance that, but at a baseline, like you go there and you haven't taken any pre-workout, and you're just there to experience music.
No, dude, I would argue, like, my first time sober raving, actually, it was at Millennium this year, right? And,
You were sober?
towards the very end. Well, not the very end. Actually, because you know how Millennium this year, it was delayed by, 3 hours?
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So everybody started way too early, and I wasn't, really doing anything, it was just drinking, right? And so, about halfway through the set, before Millennium even came on, mid-Tiesto set, right? I was completely sober, right? And I would argue it was better than when I was on pre-workout, right? For both nights, even the second night, because the first night I kind of took it light, second night I wanted to pop off, but even then, I remember that night, and I was with some of my friends, and they also experienced the same thing, and they were like, "Wait, that was way better than even the raves before and after at Beyond, on pre-workout, you know."
Why would you say it was better though? What made it better for you?
Definitely the music. Okay, the set was
The set was fire.
crazy.
The set was
crazy.
good at Millennium this year. It was super.
And then also Millennium having the live viola,
instruments,
right?
yeah.
And singing. I was just oh my god. And also just being at Rail. Okay, being at Rail sober, just I don't know. I don't know. I'm a Rail warrior. It's just it was insane.
Yeah, I would say that if you like the artist enough, again, most of the time when you're when I listen to EDM, I listen to it. I feel the most while I'm driving in my car.
Yeah.
And again, all of the time that I'm doing that, I'm sober and I'm enjoying the music just as much as I am at sets. So day 2 of Ultra, I went completely sober because I had some friends that wanted to take some pre-workout that day. And they had never done it before, so I wanted to be there and be sober for them so that they could have the best time possible, and I'd be there to support them. There were definitely some sets during that day that were a little rough, but the Subtronic set that I saw that day, dead sober, I like his music either way. And I feel the best time, and again, was going just as hard as everyone else around me, and was just having an absolute blast because I like Subtronics so much. And I'm very psyched to go to Cyclops Dome. And at least day 2 of Cyclops Dome, I will be there. Also sober.
Oh, right.
Speaking of that, so I'm only going day 1 of Cyclops Dome. But I remember in our rave fam chat, we were like, "Yo, who can DD?" And I'm like, "Bro, you already know. Your boy's already going sober. I'll DD. I don't give a shit. I'm down to DD because I know I want other people to have good experiences. If they want to, take pre-workout, great. They go for it. I'm not judging you because of that. I just choose to not do it myself. But I'm here as a DD. I want you to have a great experience. I want you to have an elevated experience and a good time. And if that's how you want to do it, go for it. I'll drive. I'm fine. Because I know, like I said earlier, I can have a good time without it. And again, that's not to put anybody down. That's not to say I'm better than anybody, because I'm not. It's just, I don't need it. And I just don't need it. Mm-hmm. And that's just the reality of it all. It's not like I'm going to just force myself to do something. If
I think there's good times for you to, make an assessment is this going to enhance my experience to a point where it'll be effective, right? Because if you're taking a pre-workout for a show that's only an hour long, that most pre-workout lasts longer than an hour. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So are you really getting the full effect out of taking it, or are you just doing it to do it? Yeah. Right? Is it really going to give you that result?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, for me, I'm a big advocate. If you follow my TikTok or if you follow like my Instagram, like I'm a massive advocate for raving sober, just because I've done it for the past since Base Canyon, since I had a little bit too much fun on pre-workout at Base Canyon. I decided, this is what I want to do now. Does it mean that I'll never take pre-workout again? No. Does it mean that I need it? No. And I think that that's like the biggest point that I'm trying to drive across. It doesn't mean that you can't ever do it. It's just saying, learning to set those healthy boundaries. We talked about healthy breaks earlier, but the healthy boundaries of, do you really need it every single time? Do you really need to, going to the gym? Do you really need pre-workout every single time? Sometimes you get a better workout if you just lift natty.
That's straight.
You feel better too afterwards because you're not all amped up and you don't have this jittery energy that you just crash from like 5 minutes later,
Yeah.
And that's just the reality. It's like, but do I still use pre-workout when I lift? Absolutely. It's just not every time.
Right.
Yeah, with that, not even if you need it, but seriously, like if you haven't yet, I think everybody here agrees. Try it. It's awesome. Going to a rave sober, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's a whole other pre-workout. Going to a rave completely sober. It's a different experience that you should love and cherish just as much.
Yeah.
Right. So definitely try it out.
Definitely, if you choose to do pre-workout at an event, do it with people that you feel really comfortable around because that'll help make your experience a lot better. And make sure you're getting it from people that you trust and people that test their pre-workout.
Oh, absolutely. And I know Zach at the beginning of the podcast had mentioned this idea of, surrounding yourself with good people when the pre-workout stops working and when you really need to surround yourself with good people and not just wrap yourself up in your bed and stay there, in your own thoughts, in your own head, like we mentioned. But I want to segue this into Beyond Wonderland because I know that this has been a very big controversial kind of thing. The rave community is kind of split with this idea that Beyond Wonderland is actually returning to the Gorge this year, which I'm personally excited for. Beyond Wonderland is one of my favorite festivals, and it replaced Paradiso, which in the last episode I said was my first ever show. So, it holds a place in my heart, and the Gorge. The Gorge is just a special place in my heart in the rave community, and it's been a controversial topic because people, if you don't know what happened at Beyond Wonderland, if you're new to this community, if you're new to raving and you just don't know what occurred at Beyond Wonderland last year, this year,
Yeah.
there's a tragedy that happened. 2 beautiful souls lost their lives due to a shooting that occurred. 2 other souls got injured, and it was heartbreaking. Just being there too at the festival itself and experiencing that firsthand. And I think what did it for me more was sitting at the show, and it wasn't being at the festival. It wasn't until I got back to the campsite and I had service on my phone and my phone just like blew up. I had like hundreds of people texting me on multiple different iMessage, Snapchat, Instagram. Matt, are you okay? I heard what happened at the Gorge, and I'm still like, what happened? And it hurt. It was traumatizing. You don't think you were that close to death, and you don't realize how close to death you were until that moment. And it was hard. And I think what made it even worse when we're talking about when the pre-workout stops working is I went home. They let you camp for a second day, but my group was like, nah, fuck it, like we gotta leave. So we left, and I went home, and I remember I got home and I just laid in bed for 3 days straight. I could not leave my bed. I was depressed. I had to call out of work, take sick days out of work, because I was, first of all, on a come down, and second of all, my processing this tragedy that had just occurred, and I didn't know what to do with it. I was sad and depressed. I cried my eyes out like 3 days in a row. If you follow me on TikTok, I posted TikToks like every single day updating on the situation and how much it affected me. And I think the thing that I needed most in that time was to be surrounded by people who keep the vibes up, who ensure that I still appreciate that I'm still alive. I think that's the biggest thing. And I think why it also hit me harder is because I kind of took that responsibility for the rest of my group at the time. And I didn't process it for myself. And then when I finally did, I didn't realize how much I needed that. But then for those like Zach's group that stayed, Rage Cage that stayed that extra day, they were in good company. They were with each other. They kept the vibes up. I don't think it necessarily hit them as significantly hard as it hit me because they spent so much time together. They were able to process this tragedy together with people that they loved and they cared about. Versus me, it's just me and myself and I in my room. My head saying, what the fuck just happened? How do I get over this? How do I deal with this? And it was rough. It was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I think an interesting viewpoint to take is from the outsider perspective, right? Like, there's so many of us that were there at Beyond during the event when it happened, and there's so many people that reached out that weren't there. And I think there's something to be said about that outside influence, right? Where you have people that are kind of like looking in almost like into maybe like this kind of bubble that you're in. And granted, they have the best intentions. They want to know that you're okay. They want to know that you're safe.
Yeah.
But there is also the other side of that where those kind of messages and stuff, like in the current headspace that you're in, you know, if you're on pre-workout, if you're unaware, that shock of getting that news delivered to you from an outside source can be very jarring. And I think it's also important for other people that are outside of the community or in general, like, again, like we love the messages and we love that you're reaching out to support us, but like also kind of being mindful that maybe this isn't the best time or like be careful about the way that you like phrase the way that you're delivering that message to someone, especially if they're not aware of the news themselves. Because that can affect them more, I think, and be even more traumatizing finding out from like a loved one about the events that are happening that they're not even aware of. So I think that there's if you're a person that's like on the outer side coming in, just like being mindful about what you're sending, be mindful about the timing. And also about like the phrasing and the way that you're projecting your message, because again, it does have good intentions. Like we all know that these people care about you, but like be aware that in the current moment and in the state that some people are in, whether that be on pre-workout or not, like again, that can just be very jarring for someone to find out. Mid, if you want to call it mid crisis.
I think too. Just to that point, really quickly, like. It's not that we're not appreciative of it. Like, I looked at all of my friends, coworkers, family that reached out to me, and it's not that I wasn't appreciative of it. It's just in that moment, it made what I thought could have possibly been a hoax real. And that's what jarred me the most in that moment.
It becomes overwhelming.
Yeah.
And actually, I want to take a side quest here. Right? Okay, so I remember in the middle of...
Restart. You gotta speak up. I don't know why, but it's not picking up as much.
So, I want to take a side quest here. In the middle of... So I want to take a side quest here. In the middle of the festival, I remember very specifically being in the pit, right, surrounded by my fam. And
I was there with you.
Yeah. And some of them, they received messages on Facebook. My phone was dead at the time. I had no idea what was going on. But they were telling other people all this just extremely alarming news. Hey, there's a shooter. Hey, there's like... Or some... explaining the crisis to others, right? And I'm asking because I literally do not know, right? How would you handle that? Or like, what do you think is the right way to handle that? Because a lot of people are vulnerable. They want to feel safe, and they're on pre-workout. That makes them feel vulnerable. And everybody needs to feel safe, right? And at the Gorge, we feel safe.
Yeah,
right.
That's our safe space.
That is a safe space, right? And for it to just be brought on. And I remember when I was told, I didn't know what to feel. I was like, "There's no way this is real. This is no way this is happening, right?" But I don't know. Like in my head at the time, it was a hard balance of like, what do I do? What do I feel? Right? Well, like literally, like if you were the one to receive those messages, see the Facebook posts, see these things from your family, right? And it's in the middle, and you know everybody around you, they're having a good time, but they're also vulnerable. But then you also want them to be safe.
Yeah.
And you don't also know, because everything's like, what do you do? Like, I don't know,
Yeah,
you know?
no,
right?
it is.
Yeah.
It's really tough. It's a really tough line to balance. Like, how do you
I never
give that to someone?
been in that situation, so...
I would say, from my personal experience, I think in the moment, let the people that are unaware remain currently unaware.
Yeah.
Let them enjoy the sets. Let them enjoy the thing that they were there to be there for. And when the time comes for them to face the reality, you know, whether that's at the end of the sets or when they return to camp or whenever it is, sure, but don't take them out of the moment. I think is the biggest thing.
I remember. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt.
No, go.
I remember very vividly because I was with Michael when that girl came up to us and she's like, "Yo, look, like, there's a shooting. Like, what the fuck? You know, like, we're leaving." And I remember it was me, you, and then Jacko. We were all just sitting there and we were like, all processing together, right? Because we were like the 3 leaders of our group and we had this other group with us. And I remember looking both of them dead in the face and I said, just keep the vibes up. That's all we got to do. We just got to have a blast. If we prove that we're having a blast, they'll keep having a blast and they can find out later. And we did. We did just that. And we were headbanging. It was Kaiwachi's set. He popped the fuck off.
No,
like, it was insane. And we were like, yeah, fucking. And then we get back to camp and reality hits. But I like that that's what happened more because it still gives them that fond memory, that fond experience that they were able to have.
For the time before they knew.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Again, I think it's just like taking... It's a lot. I think it's a lot better to allow people to have more of an experience in the thing that they came to experience than to accidentally or inadvertently pull them out of it earlier than possible.
I think really what was the kick for me is like I spoke to one of the concession stands people, one of the staff, right, at Live Nation or Insomniac, I'm not too sure, but they were saying like, hey, like in the venue, you were safe. You were safer here than anywhere else right now, right? And that's like what was like, okay, cool, like because
I mean logically
like,
too, right? Like you went through security and everything else, and where the shooting occurred was outside of those security precautions.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, actually you'd probably be better.
Well, it just happened at the campsite.
It happened at the campsite that was a mile away from the venue itself. So everybody was technically safe inside the venue.
The venue has like actual
metal detectors,
security, more precaution than the campsites themselves had.
What I'd probably say is looking at it from a different perspective because the way that I approach raving in the first episode I told you guys that I was completely against it. So like, you know, hearing your guys' explanation of, you know, what you would do in a situation where like, oh, we're gonna let you guys learn about reality later, or like we'll delay this reality to onset to you guys later. For me personally, I'd rather know about it at the get-go. The only reason why I say that is because I am a very like everybody needs to be safe type of mentality. Because as soon as we figured that was happening, we gathered every single person and everybody in my rave fam gathered completely together, and we basically came to a decision like, hey, you know, this is what's happening. We just want to make sure that all of us are here and accounted for. And everybody was, except for one person. And the reason why we all got really panicked was because the person that was missing was the person at the exact campsite that it was happening at. So this is why so here's a different perspective to think about. The reason why it's also okay to be alarmed, to also realize the reality right at the get-go, is because the party did come to an end, right? And to realize that, and as shitty as it sounds, 2 people lost their lives and 2 people got injured in the line of duty.
Yes.
And the stark reality of what just happened at Beyond Wonderland, we can't try to emphasize the fact that we're here to have fun, we're here to have a good time. We knew that as soon as we went into the venue. There's no denying that we all came to have a good time. However, when some tragedy strikes, that's when we should at least pump the brakes just a little bit to realize like this is what's happening, this is what we have to do, and this is exactly what we need to come together for. So like again, rest in peace to the beautiful souls that lost their lives. Rest in peace to the staff that lost their life. You know, basically just working for their living, right, and all that stuff. But this is also now like tying into the reality of this is why we need to this is why we need to come together more than ever, because something like this should never ever happen again. Something like this should be completely out of our scope of understanding of reality, because we come together for the rave, and we explained this in the first episode, Plur. Peace, love, unity, respect. There was no peace, love, unity, respect when that situation happened.
Yeah.
None of that was exercised at the campsites at that moment. And I feel like we can't just try to shield reality from people. So philosophy-wise, one of my favorite pieces of philosophy was by Plato called The Allegory of a Cave. And the philosophy basically talks about how you project onto this wall or this cave of what reality is. It shows you what reality is. You only see the shadow of reality. But once you actually leave outside the cave, you can actually see everything in full light.
Yeah.
So like what you guys were probably saying was like, oh, we want to keep up the vibes and we want to do all these things to make sure that nobody's like down or whatever. But we should be down. People lost their life. And that should have never happened in the first place. And we have to accept the fact that it did happen. And trying to shield our friends from this reality I feel like is doing them a disservice. Like, as much as I respect your guys' view of trying to keep that reality from them, I also stand with my responsibility to make sure that all my friends are safe.
Yeah. I was like
Why did you cut? What did you want to cut?
one, I got a call, two, I heard somebody knocking on the door.
I'm gonna interject and not counter. I'm gonna like dialectically counter your point. That
No,
makes sense?
I think it's a great point. I really do.
It's not a counter necessarily. It's
Yeah.
just like agreeing and then stating another perspective, I guess. That's,
Yeah. No, I think it is. I think there's. If I was going to talk about it, I think there's just a fine line there, of when is the right time to talk about it.
Who's here?
It's fine.
Oh.
Okay.
Hey, Cameron.
Wait,
Right.
bring him in.
I was just gonna.
Yeah. Count it back in.
Count it, and then I'm gonna interject. You probably have
I
something.
just have a small thing.
All right.
3, 2, 1, action. I was gonna say, no. I totally agree. I was actually like in limbo, between, you two's opinions and Adam's, up until the point where I got, and it was just affirmation, right, from somebody that worked there at the venue, because I had no idea what was going on as, a participant, that I was safe. And then that made me feel safe, to feel that my people were safe, right? From this one woman at the concession stand telling me, and she did it so wonderfully. I don't know who you are, but if you're seeing this, thank you.
Shout out to Beyond Wonderland staff.
Yeah.
Sonic Elimination.
But where it made me go over the edge, where it's like, okay, this is where now I have to make, for the safety of, I know they're physically safe. Now I have to make sure that they're mentally safe. Right.
Yeah. And I want to say that too. Like, I don't disagree with Adam's point at all. I think in that moment I had to make a decision on what was best for the people in my group, and they were unaware. And I think the reality is, it was the same group that I came in with. I knew we were all there, and I didn't want to spread any more fear than what could already possibly be spread. And I think for me, that moment of realization came to me is like, we will have a moment, because I know we're all here after the fact, to be able to debrief. And I'm a social worker. Like, I do shit like this for a living. I'm a therapist in a sense for a living. Like, if you need someone to talk to, come talk to me. Like, I'm here for you. I'm here to hear you out. I'm here to listen to you. I want us to have this space to process, but in the middle of a rave where everyone else is on pre-workout having a kick-ass time, this isn't the space to have that conversation. And I really wanted to respect the space itself and keep the magical, the sacredness of the gorge itself intact, while still being able to address that later,
I feel like this could segue into a different episode for us, as well as a side quest podcast. There's definitely, it seems like, as much as I don't want to continue dragging this bad memory to all ravers of Beyond Wonderland, it is something that needs to be discussed. It's something that needs to be embraced, and it's something that needs to be resolved internally.
Absolutely.
But I feel like we need, maybe have a little segment in maybe a later episode to talk about the responsibility of keeping the vibe versus the responsibility of you keeping everyone safe.
There's definitely a fine line there, and I think it really comes down to personal judgment and you knowing your group. And like in Matt's case, he didn't feel like that was the right time, but in your case, you felt like this was something that you can bring on to your friends and they would be okay with that. And I think both are correct approaches for
the groups that we were in.
The groups you were in.
Because not every single group is the same.
No.
And that's the beauty of it all in reality. And I think I don't want to end this on a negative note, right? I don't want to talk about what happened. I mean, we know what happened. We lived it. Everyone that raves in the Pacific Northwest knows what happened. We lived it. It was a traumatizing tragedy that occurred. I do want to say this, however, because we had a moment like this in our rave fam and Rage Cage where people were on the fence when, this announcement just got announced, and that's why I think it's fresh in my head that I wanted to bring it up on this episode of Beyond Wonderland coming back to the Gorge, and people were, really frustrated and upset. They're like, how could you just blow it off like nothing ever happened? How could you just bring it back like nothing ever happened? And I think the reality, at least my perspective of this is I don't think for a minute anybody in the rave community, anybody at Insomniac, maybe, I could be lying, didn't acknowledge this.
Right.
We acknowledged this fully. We sat in that pain. We sat in that sadness. We mourned loss. There were candlelight vigils across the nation.
We raised a lot of money for the funeral services.
We raised so much money.
Yep.
Artists came and donated thousands of dollars to the GoFundMes to the families that were affected. Like, I don't think for 1 second we never acknowledged it. But what is the time? What is the point where you can acknowledge a tragedy and learn to move on in peace and love? And that is exactly, we're about peace, we're about love, we're about unity, we're about respect, we're about responsibility. How do we move on and live in that kind of environment and
grow from it?
Grow.
Exactly.
Yeah, make sure this never happens again.
Absolutely.
Beyond's gonna happen again this year. And I think we all want to go to Beyond again.
Yeah,
That's a beautiful thing. And, Insomniac, Live Nation, and the community as a whole, how are we going to grow to make sure that, something like this never happens again? So that we can go and experience that peace and love and joy and happiness, right? And rave, right?
That's the beautiful thing that happened after Beyond that I saw too.
Absolutely. I was just going to say that.
As much as I was mourning, I actually took an extra couple days off after Beyond to also process the emotions that I felt over the weekend, because loss of life is never a joke. That type of stuff, honestly, like those types of tragedies should never happen. But it does, and it's all part of reality, and that's what makes life so more beautiful, and what makes raving more beautiful is that the people, at the end of everything, we could still put a smile on our face, we could still put on the candies, we could still put on our pashminas, we can still buy the next tickets to the next rave. We could still go back and get the fam together, and we could still go and have a good time, because that's what the people that lost their life would have wanted us to do as well.
Amen. Absolutely.
They want us to carry on, and they want us to make sure that we're still happy, because just because their life ended doesn't mean that ours has to.
To that point, that is exactly the epiphany that I've had when I sat in that mourningness and I sat in that sadness. Seeing the reactions across the rave community, because it's definitely split 50-50. How the fuck could you bring it back? And there's people like, this isn't what Brandy and Jocelyn would have wanted us to do. They died doing what they love, and they would want us to carry on their spirit in joy and doing what they loved doing. And I think that that's the epiphany I had, is you cannot let a singular experience like this affect your perspective of the rave community and a singular festival for the rest of your life, because you bet your ass Insomniac invested in higher security. Absolutely. We went to Base Canyon 2 months later, and security was way better for the campsite than it was at Beyond. So already the Gorge has taken steps to improve that process. It just seems so, to me, and maybe I'm taking it a little too personally, but it just seems very not plur of us to be like, well, fuck this festival, I'm never going back because of this tragedy. Because what is plur? It's peace. It's love. It's finding peace in the violence. It's finding love with your friends and family in this community despite a tragedy. Unifying behind this tragedy, which we saw in full force with millions of dollars being raised for these families after the tragedy. That was us. That was the rave community uniting I donated only $15, but my $15 is a contribution to the millions of dollars raised. And I'm not saying that as like a proud thing. I'm just saying that this proves across the nation, the community came together and donated millions of dollars worth to both families that were affected deeply in this tragedy. And not just ravers, artists, Subtronics, Slander donated, Ray Volpe donated thousands of dollars to these GoFundMes. We came together, we unified, we respect them. Yep. We respected why they came to the gorge in the first place. We respect their death in carrying on their legacy of them doing what they love doing.
Right.
But again, we do have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to ensure the mental health of everyone that was affected by the situation.
Right. Because it happened. We all completely can agree to that. It happened, right? And we all took our time. Everybody has taken their time since that time that tragedy struck. And this time we put our best foot forward and we show the world that this is not a dangerous space. This is not for violence. This is not for hate. It is only for peace, love, unity, and respect.
It's resiliency. It's resiliency in that unity, right? How best can we bounce back from something like this? Because you know damn well that's something Jocelyn and Brandy would have wanted us to do. Because if it weren't them, they would probably have the same mentality. And if it were me, I know personally, if it was me that lost my life that day, I wouldn't want to see my brothers and sisters that are in the rave community be, oh, I'm not going to rave out of respect for Matt. I would be, yo, what the fuck are you doing?
I'd haunt you.
I would
rave.
fucking single-handedly possess your body and make you go to the rave and headbang for me.
That's crazy. You bought a ticket?
Yeah, you will carry on my spirit in your good vibes and your energy that you bring to the next show. And that is something that I think all ravers, if you are a true raver, if you have this plur, you've embraced the community, you would understand that this is not the end.
No,
we cannot stop. We're not just going to throw up our hands and say, oh, well, fuck, this tragedy happened and we're just going to give up and stop raving, because that's not what I would want.
Yeah.
That's not what Brandy and Jocelyn would have wanted. That's not what the insomniac worker that was severely injured would have wanted. What August, who was another victim that was injured, would have wanted. You know, sure, he may not go back to the gorge just because, I mean, bro, he got shot there. Like, I understand that. But he's not going to go around, at least I don't think, telling people don't go. Because it's not safe. Because the reality is, Base Canyon happened 2 months later. Above and Beyond happened the month right after. No incidences. A bunch of other events, non-EDM events, occurred at the gorge right after the shooting. Life moved on. And it moved on in this beautiful way where we not only came together and promoted for better security at the campsites, but people are still, the gorge is still a sacred space. And it is such a beautiful space that, I mean, I tell my friends every year, I'm not going back because it's too much money. And somehow my ass spends another $400 to go back.
Somehow money just randomly appears in your bank account.
Yeah, you're like, oh.
Somehow it disappears from my savings. That's crazy.
Like, all I'm saying is, if you rave in the Pacific Northwest, because that's what we are basing this podcast out of, you know, if you've been to the gorge, how special of a place that is.
Absolutely.
It is heaven on earth. It is a piece of heaven. Ravers from across the world come to experience the gorge. Right. It's not like, you know, in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, Washington, you would have never expected.
Such a beautiful place.
What is so special to us about the gorge? We touched on it a little bit in the last episode. Yeah. And, you know, your answer could be everything. But we've all had that one experience where we're like, this place, there's something magical about it. Something that, like, a piece of your spirit is just stuck there. And it calls you back every festival season. And you're like, I'm going. Yeah.
I feel like, what is not magic about it, right? I have, like, several moments, right? First, one, Beyond Wonderland, right? When the gates first open, because, you know, main stage gates don't open until LA. And being at the very front, and everybody's flooding in from the main entrance, running down the hill, and it's completely empty. Seeing the gorge completely empty, with the entire stage going on there. It's a famous shot, right? Yeah. Running past the swings. Yeah. And then literally people rolling down the hill like children. And that's just like, that's magic in itself. But really, I think the Gorge is an amazing venue. But what is fantastic, amazing about the Gorge is the memories, right? And when it always comes down to people, right?
Yeah.
Is like, oh man, I remember being at Rail with my rave fam. I remember when we stayed up until 4 a.m. and went to the silent disco? Hey, remember when we went on the Ferris wheel together?
Any side quest that you want.
All the side quests. All the
that you
side
want.
quests. The Gorge is just there's one main quest, which is a bunch of series of side quests. That's really what it is. And that's for me, right? And like, whether it be like a huge festival, like Beyond Wonderland, Biz Canyon, or if it's just Millennium, right? It's just all the small pieces together. So maybe it's not really the venue of the Gorge, but it's what the Gorge creates and who put it on for the Gorge. Right?
Yeah.
And that's and they do a good job. They do a real goddamn good job at that higher than man. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. I think, yeah, you know, in a way there is magic, but I think the magic is the people there.
Yeah.
I think the magic is the people that come together into this random spot in the middle of George Washington.
Quite literally.
Such a fitting name for a city, but I think the magic really lies within the people that gathers under that sky together. I'd probably say that first time at the Gorge was my first time realizing how insignificant everything else is. You see how beautiful life can be, and you see how one little thing can chain react to the next. Because what I really like doing is just going up to random people, just giving them a high five, like, what's up, like, you know, just random. Like, they could be doing anything. They could be like putting like their phone away in their little fanny pouch. They could be like tying their shoes. They could be trying to take a picture. You go up to them like, yeah, let me take a picture with you guys. Yeah. And they be like, get in, let's go. Like, you know, like the magic is the people there. That what makes it magical is not the nature that's there. As much as I love nature, don't get me wrong, I love nature, beautiful, beautiful setting. But the most beautiful thing is the things that are alive, the things that are moving, the things that are constantly in motion. Yeah. There's the chaos that like ensues in that venue that just creates this sense of being. Like the music's just right, the lasers hitting people around you, the fog machine's going up, there's dust in the air, there's a breeze coming in from the side of the gorge, and your friend's going, let's fucking go!
You got the other friend that's going like
and then all of a sudden somebody grabs your shoulder and says, let's fucking rave. It's not even the person in your group. There is that sense of belonging. And I actually made a post about this when I first went to the gorge. And I said, this chapter of my life is called acceptance. I was accepted into the rave community that day.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I feel like that was the magic there. The people that accepts you for who
That's
you are.
beautiful, yeah. What about you, Zach?
Yeah, I think the gorge, what makes the gorge special realistically is just the people that fill it out. Year after year, event after event. I mean, we pull up with big amounts of people, but even still, it's those little interactions you have with those strangers that you don't know, that you pass by in the crowd, and they either compliment you compliment them, you decide to spend that little moment with that other individual, and that's what makes it special.
I think to cap it off, I think for me, I grew up on that side of Washington, and the Columbia River, which is why it's called the Gorge. It's an amphitheater sat on the gorge of the Columbia River. Is a river I grew up like swimming in when I was like growing up. I'd go boating with my friends and stuff like that, and so the river itself, even to the Native Americans that live on that side of the state, the Walla Walla Indians, natives, and the Yakima tribe, all of those people, the river holds significance to them. The river itself is a magical entity of Mother Nature. And I think for me, having experienced the magic, first of all, I've almost drowned in that river. I'm just going to say that. yet something still draws me back. And I don't know what it is because I hated growing up in Eastern Washington, but just that particular space in Washington with the people, and like Adam was mentioning the lasers. I don't know if you've ever been to the gorge and you've just turned around in the pit and you saw
you
see the
you see it in the tree
you
line?
see the trees at the top of the hill and they're just purple and you're like, what? You're just like, bro, this venue, there's more than just the people. The ambiance, the environment is so magical. That mixed with the Wonderland decorations of these big ass mushrooms, and you really feel like you're Alice in Wonderland going on a magical trip into the rabbit hole into Wonderland. Like it's insane to me. They host Beyond Wonderland in SoCal, and I've had SoCal ravers come to the gorge and say this Beyond is way better than Beyond at the NOS Event Center. First of all, hate the NOS Event Center. I'm sorry. But they just say it's so much better because the gorge, the ambiance, the people, there's the air. There's something in that air that you're breathing there with the dust that you're just like
in the wildfires.
in the wildfire smoke that hit during Base Canyon. But there's something in that you're just smelling, and it's like crack, and you're just addicted, and you just cannot stop because it's so ridiculously magical. Anyways, that's about it from our positive experiences at the gorge. Huge thank you to everyone who stuck with us and listened to this episode.
So our camera died, but it looks like our audience is filming for us. A huge shout out to Cameron, Mungfi, and Lily for being in the audience, and
huge shout out to Cameron for picking up where the camera left off.
That's right.
Yeah. Thanks for the laugh tracks, guys.
But huge
they didn't laugh at all. Our jokes were not that funny.
I mean, we didn't really tell that many jokes. It was a pretty serious conversation.
Yeah, especially at the end.
So, anyways, on that note, Grandpa Wook, please take us home. Back to our main quest.
Yeah, back to the main quest. Don't forget to go back to the main quest.
Don't forget to come back to the main quest. Thank you for sticking on this side quest with us. It's been another long day and another long episode that I'm going to enjoy or maybe not enjoy editing later. We'll see. But I love you guys. We love you guys so much. Thank you for sticking with us on the side quest. And you side questers, we still need a name for Adam, for Michael. So let it be known.
And Zach, not too.
Yeah, and Zach. Shoot us a DM, whatever you got.
Shoot us a DM, guys.
Give them nicknames. We love you guys. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, Apple Music, all streaming platforms, YouTube. We post videos there. Everywhere. Make sure you follow us. Give us a listen. Give us a watch. The videos tend to be more entertaining. I will say that. But please listen. This is a podcast first. We appreciate all you beautiful 55 people that listened to the first episode. You guys are amazing. We fucking love you.
I streamed it 55 times, bro.
Thank you, Michael.
We love you guys. Stay tuned. Make sure you follow our page too so you can stay aware of whenever we upload a new episode. But if you don't know, we will be uploading every Monday. So just stay tuned for that. Thank you for listening. And before we go, next Monday, due to it being the Monday after Thanksgiving, we will not be shooting an episode next week because we hope you guys all spend time with your fams and rave fams. And we will be doing the same. And so, again, taking that healthy break away from this conversation, having a chance to recuperate and spend time with our loved ones and friends, we hope you guys do the same. We want to encourage that. And so, stay tuned. Episode 3 will come out on November 30th, I want to say. Whatever that Monday is. And it's going to be a banger. We're going to have some special guests with us on that episode. Ravery.us, proud vending promotion company of the greater Pacific Northwest area. We are so excited to have Jessica and Trevor join us for that episode. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, wherever you guys are. We love you guys. And always, keep on rolling.
Keep on rolling.